I said that I couldn't give you guys any advice on what to do right, but rather what I did wrong. And I also, in hindsight, wish that I would have had someone sit down with me and tell me that there were caregiver support groups and coalitions. But 11 years ago, it just didn't seem like there was that much, and I believe there's been a lot of progress since then. I did not have an advocate, and nor did I know at the time how to be my own. I just really didn't know how to ask for help, but since Cody's illness, I've learned since then how to find the resources. I felt I should sort of set the stage, so I need to be as honest as possible and lend some reasoning behind my caregiving skills. I was probably, like most of the caregivers in the room that are family members, I was in no way prepared for what was about to happen. I was at the time in the middle of a very public, very nasty divorce. It was very publicized and all over the media when Cody fell ill. The kids and I even had the National Enquirer parked out front our door for quite some time. And they even called, at my time, the secretary and offered her money. Then they called and offered me money, and I said, put some more zeros and I'll think about it, and they eventually went away. So all this was kind of going on when Cody got sick. And I actually was in Arizona the day that she fell ill, having a midlife crisis. I was feeling quite ugly about myself, the way I looked, and I had gone to Arizona to avoid New Mexico gossip, to fix the unsightly scars from 3 cesareans, and change my appearance. I thought after 4 kids it might help me to have the confidence to maybe date again. I call it my stupid phase. So the day Cody fell ill, I had just come out of surgery. I had staples, I had stitches, drain tubes, from extensive stomach reconstruction and breast implants. I was at the hotel coming out of anesthesia and heavily medicated when my girlfriend began to try to wake me up to tell me Cody was in the emergency room here in Albuquerque and I needed to be able to talk. When it was decided she was dehydrated and going to be okay and sent home, I decided to stay in Phoenix overnight and see what transpired. I thought, like everything else, she was going to be okay and that my surgery required I lay flat for 8 days. And that was not meant to be, because by the next morning, very early, with my girlfriend driving me, we began the search for the surgeon on his favorite golf course to remove my drain tubes and get me immediately on a plane back to the hospital. Cody had taken a turn for the worse and was now in jeopardy of being put on a ventilator. I was already feeling guilty, and this, on the way home on the plane, I remember thinking, this is my punishment for wanting to do something for myself. So I think that sort of began to set the stage for this whole guilt-ridden, time that I had taken, and that it was, God punishing me for wanting to do something vain. Needless to say, when I got here, I was in enormous pain, heavily medicated, and I walked into the hospital to see my daughter for the first time. I could barely bend over, stand up straight, sit down, and try to stay focused on what the doctors were telling me. I was trying very hard to stay positive for Cody, and I didn't want her to see me fall apart or cry. And when I was told she was paralyzed, along with the stranger standing next to me that I was once my husband and best friend of 20 years, I was immediately asked to help catheterize her, which in hindsight I should have said no. I mean, the family was in shock. I know the consensus is to get everyone involved, is used to these changes and what's required, but in hindsight it was way too soon. I had all these staples from hip to hip and bandages like a mummy, and was living on no sleep. Had a 1-year-old at home, 2 teenage siblings in the waiting room, an entire racing fraternity trying to get information on Cody's condition, and the 5 o'clock news outside the hospital waiting for a statement from Unser Jr. I think for several years there, I never stopped. I mean, I simply dropped my life, my health, my time, and I became sort of like this living zombie. I remember roaming the corridors of the hospital, telling my life story to complete strangers, talking on the phone with some sort of fake positive attitude to my friends in racing that I had not talked to in quite a while because during the divorce I was sort of shut out. And these were people that meant something to me, and I found myself, instead of opening up to them, I was trying to act all strong. Inside I was petrified. I felt incredibly guilty and alone. And I think I was guilted into becoming Cody's caregiver because society expects the mom to be just that. But I was a very hyper person. I was very awkward and not patient enough to learn how to take care of her properly. It wasn't until rehab that I started to feel like a good mom again, because I never left her side for a year.